What could make a mother take the lives of her own 3 children while her husband was out picking up dinner? That's the question at the center of the Lindsay Clancy case, one of the most medically and legally complex true crime stories in recent memory.
I've heard people on this app talk about how much men seem to hate Lindsay Clancy, how a lot of women kind of feel for her and understand the pressures of being a mom and how it can really make you go crazy. And men are just infuriated with her and just want her, to pay for these crimes. I think that's because when she completely loses it, then the guy actually has to take accountability for being a father. And it's clear that men really, 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 really don't like that.
What?
And that's why they're so angry and they want her to suffer, because they don't want the spotlight to be on the dad. They don't want the mom to be sick and unable to take care of her kids. They want her to go back to doing it all, to being the mom, the nurse, whatever, running marathons, whatever else she did. They don't like that she represents motherhood absolutely crushing women. They don't like that at all. They want the mom to continue to be like everyone's mom, everyone's everything, and just deal with how empty they feel inside.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And it's interesting how nobody is blaming Patrick Clancy for what happened. Because he is, in my opinion, kind of guilty.
Why?
Because he should not have left her alone with those children.
Right? He did get stabbed,
Vlad,
right?
shut the fuck up with that shit.
Okay.
He's making all of these claims about how sick she was and how everyone knew she heard voices to harm her kids, and yet he left her alone with those children. That's not criminal negligence. That's not child abuse. The person who I really think we need to blame is Patrick Clancy. I'll be honest with you. And that's maybe why he's forgiven her and speaking on her defense. Because if he wasn't doing that, her lawyer might point the finger at him and say, not only is it the fault of the mental health system, but it's also the fault of her dirtbag husband, because he knew she was sick and he left her home with those 3 children. I don't know, maybe this guy's got connections in Massachusetts where this all happened, but to me, I just can't fathom why her husband has said in his malpractice suit that she admitted to him and their whole family that she was sick, that she heard voices to harm her kids. And he says that that's why he worked from home in the basement, because he did not want to leave her alone with the kids. So why did he leave her alone with the kids? Is that not criminal negligence? Like, I can't imagine leaving my Pomeranian alone with Lindsay Clancy based upon how sick she claims to have been. So why is it okay for Patrick Clancy to leave the 3 kids with her? That's just what I don't get. I think this guy has to have some kind of criminal culpability, especially if everybody is saying she's not guilty. I mean, I think honestly, if he was on the side of the prosecutor and was pointing fingers at her, then everybody wouldn't be looking at him with these rose-colored glasses thinking he's such a good guy to forgive her. They would be thinking, you piece of shit, how dare you blame her? You were just as much to blame as she is. And then there might be charges brought against him. I don't know. That's just my theory. Let me know in the comments what you guys think.
That is being stupid, totally stupid. Totally optimally stupid.
I've been following the Lindsay Clancy trial, as I'm sure a lot of you are. Horrible, horrifically sad case. But I think that this is a good example of my issue sometimes with prosecutors. Right? What is your goal here? What justice are you seeking? You really think that this woman she should spend the rest of her life in prison?
I am not understanding that word.
You think that this woman was in her right mind when she killed her 3 children and tried to kill herself? And you think that this was premeditated for months, and that all of this was just because she didn't want to be a mother anymore. I don't know. I disagree with that. And I think it's a good example of just because you can doesn't mean that you should, right? I mean, look at her husband. Look at Patrick Clancy, the person that witnessed her mental health decline over the months leading up to the incident, who knew her better than anybody, who watched this happen day after day, and he's forgiven her. He knows that this woman that committed this offense was not his wife. And if he can find it in his heart to forgive her, I mean, what are we doing? I don't know. Maybe
That is being stupid, totally stupid.
So annoying how everybody pretends to understand mental health until somebody like Lindsay Clancy, who is severely mentally ill, does something that they can't understand, and then they just resort to jail. Jail is not the answer to everything. And people who don't want her to go to jail aren't saying that she needs to walk free tomorrow and, like, I don't know, start a new family or some shit. Like, those are not the only two options here. Just don't get the comments that are like, oh my God, how can somebody do this? Like, you know, she belongs in jail for the rest of her life. I could never imagine doing this. Good, because it's not normal. That's the whole point. You can't pretend to understand mental health when it's just like OCD, ADHD, depression, more common things. But then when it gets really ugly, all of a sudden we resort to jail for everything. Like, that is the only answer in the world. Like, this is so much more complicated than the way some people are making it out to be.
I can't. Get out.
How are you dealing with the people who hate Lindsay Clancy? Who have never had mental illness, experienced our healthcare system, and can't comprehend the fact that what she did was because of what they put her through, in a sense. I can't argue with everybody in the comment section. I must shield my mental health. So where are my people that get it? Please come sit with me. Please, I feel alone because it feels like everyone has their head far up their tuchus. In understanding the complexity of psychosis, postpartum, and mental health, and what all of those medications can do to somebody's brain. Because everyone is just sidestepping, let me step over the healthcare system. Like, hello, am I in the Twilight Zone? Where are my people at? Please, where are you? Come sit with me.
A woman who cannot stand on her own two legs was made to sit in a wheelchair and watch photos repeatedly of her unalived children. This woman is paralyzed from the waist down. She fractured her spine and shattered her neck, trying to end her life by jumping out a second-story window because auditory command hallucinations told her to after she took the lives of her 3 children that she's openly admitted to doing. Now they have her ex on the stand who openly talked about her rapid decline, her problem with psychiatric medication, her insomnia, her overexercise, the mania, isolation, the detachment, the quietness. In his own words, she kept getting worse and worse. And somewhere in that testimony, the state decided to put up pictures of a family vacation while they're at a water park. A month before the unaliving. Now you're telling me that somebody with severe mental health problems that leads to severe psychiatric emergency can't fake it for a little bit for the kids? As a forensic psychologist, I am telling you that moment was not about evidence. That was a lawyer being theatrical. But I'm sorry, the theater cuts both ways, lady. If any female juror had postpartum depression or anxiety or any struggles, that attorney just made them sound like they were monsters themselves. That could have been me on my worst day with no support, with messed up medication. But here's a lawyer weaponizing the psychological collapse of a woman as proof of premeditation. Defense attorneys didn't invent postpartum psychosis. It is a documented, rare psychiatric emergency that happens in 1 in 1,000 births, highly linked to a family history of bipolar disorder. And there's hallucinations, there's dissociation, there's strong delusions. I don't think they were coaching these symptoms before this happened, and they got lawyers. 3 babies are no longer with us. Lives have been ruined forever. And these lawyers seem to just be happy that they're on TV. Surprisingly, the judge ended all of this early, around 3 o'clock, and they are not even coming in tomorrow, and we will be back Wednesday.